Hi.
Hi.
So what brings you here today?
Been having some troubles at work.
Really?
hmm
What troubles?
I just started a new career as a second grade teacher, and the kids are kind of overwhelming.
Ooh, second grade. Yeah, God bless you.
Thanks.
So what made you go into teaching?
It runs in my family. My parents are both teachers, and so it just seemed kind of natural for me to go into teaching.
Yeah.
And I like kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, my father's been a teacher for 25
Aw.
years. Yeah, it's excellent. It's good work.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the stress that you're feeling.
Overall, it's okay. It's just there's this one kid that has some behavioral problems that I don't feel like I'm prepared to handle. Like he hits other children, and I just don't feel like I have the skills to be able to handle him.
That's difficult. Now, how
Yeah.
long have you been teaching?
This is my first year.
Oh,
So I did student teaching, and I graduated in May, and now.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Well, it's difficult. It's very hard getting into there, especially with little ones like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have any idea of maybe the child's parental background? Have you spoken with the parents?
The demographic of the school is primarily Hispanic, so I know that his family doesn't really speak any English. His mom stays at home, I think, and his dad works. And so that's another thing that I've been encountering, is it's hard to communicate with him when he's used to communicating in Spanish.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be very
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So, if you feel like you're lacking those resources to be able to communicate, does your school offer any sort of opportunities to work with a translator or have any means of reaching out to the family?
Not a translator, but I did start like a behavioral plan, is what it's called. And so I met with the guidance counselor and spoke with her and saw if his first grade teacher had encountered these same problems and what she did. And so we started a behavior plan, but I'm not sure it's gonna work.
Right. What makes you doubt that?
Just because other teachers have tried the behavior plan before and it hasn't really worked very well.
Yeah, it's very frustrating when you feel like the tools that are supposed to be helping you in your workplace aren't even accomplishing what they were designed to do.
Yeah.
So I understand. That's very frustrating. Well, do you, if you lack those resources, do you think that there's anything that you could do that might help you? Do you think there are classes that you could take maybe outside what the school offers, or?
I'm not sure. I hadn't thought about that. There is one more option within the school. They have a specific class for kids with behavioral problems and things like that. So I think my next step is to try and get him in there.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's possible for this year. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's very difficult sometimes, making those decisions about which steps of action to take.
Yeah.
What about support? I mean, I know, I'm sure these are going to be things that you confront as an educator. You're going to have difficult kids in situations that you may not know exactly how to handle. Do you feel like you have a reasonable support base?
Yeah, especially because teachers in the school have had him in their class already. So they know what his behavior is like, and they know that he's screaming and hitting other children and things like that. So they can sympathize with me because they've had him.
Yeah.
So that is helpful.
Right.
That they know what I'm going through.
Do they have any any further insights as to what might be going on?
Not really. They're kind of just well, I just put him on the computer on the side of the class, and that's what I did with him, just so he didn't distract the other children. Because I do want to help him, but there's also 20 other kids that I need to focus on, and if he's screaming and hitting children, that's the only option that I have right now, is to just put him on the computer.
No, that's incredibly conflicting stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, do you, when you feel like he's disrupting the class that way and you put him away to the computer, do you feel at that point that at least it's been temporarily resolved, or do you feel like there's still that this can't be maintained, that's not going to continue to work?
I think that it could, but I also don't want to neglect him. I know that he isn't learning all the things that he needs to do if he's just sitting on the computer.
Right.
And I don't want him to feel like I've given up on him and just given in to what he wanted. because he does just want to play on the computer, and so if I give in to that, he is quiet and he
Yeah.
stops screaming, and I can like focus on the other children. But I don't want to continue doing that.
Mm. Well, I can see that you're really compassionate, that you care about him, but you also want to keep those boundaries there. You
Yeah.
want to actually encourage him to grow, and you don't want to see him complacent. That's very good, by the way. I can tell that you're really good at your profession. I know that first year can be extremely intimidating and overwhelming, and lots of factors that are quite beyond your control. But I just want to encourage you. You have the right characteristics in place. You have the
Thank you.
right things. So.
Mm-hmm.
So outside the classroom, is this something that you take home with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk to my roommates about it all the time, and they're very empathetic. And my one roommate, she asks me every day, like, how's Otsniel? Like, she knows his name, and she knows that I struggle with him. And so they're very supportive, and they're very empathetic, and they try to think of ways, but they can't really understand everything because they're not there. But it is helpful that they're there for me to talk to.
Oh, that's great. Are they in education or in similar fields?
No, the one is in pharmacy school and the other one's in a counseling program.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, it's still working with people, so
Yeah,
I'm sure
so
they
it's
can
still
at least
helpful.
appreciate
For
that.
sure, for sure, yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad that you have that support, because that's
Yeah.
a huge part of this, I think, is when we run through these issues, when we have these obstacles in our lives, to have those people in place.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. I appreciate them very much.
Yeah. So, do you have anything that you like to do that you feel like can help alleviate some of that stress in your own life? Do you like listening to music? Do you like going on walks? Is there anything that you can do as standard patterns of behavior that could?
I like watching Netflix.
Yes,
My roommates and I, we watch The Great British Bake Off, and it's like an hour show of just like mindless.
Yeah.
It's just like watching
Cake.
people bake.
Watching cake.
Yeah,
right?
just watching people bake is nice. Or we go to the beach a lot, or I'll just nap or listen to audiobooks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm sitting around like being in turmoil over this. It's just I know that on Mondays, like I have to go in and he's gonna be there still, and the same issues are gonna be there.
Of course.
Yeah.
I like that you said that you're going outside and you're doing some outdoor things. I was recently listening to a program, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a podcast called Hidden Brain, and it's about well-being and flourishing and that sort of thing. And one of the things they were discussing is how important it is to be outside, how we're placed in these places like a classroom with kids in your face all the time, and how incredibly useful it is to just take that time and to go to the beach and to be with friends and to find ways to get away from that frustration.
Yeah, it definitely is helpful for sure.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. I'm glad that I don't live by myself.
Yes.
And that I do have that support system and that we do things together. So that is helpful.
Well, the relationships are everything. Now, family support, if you don't mind me asking.
No, that's okay. No, it's good. My parents, they never taught younger children. They taught at universities and things like that.
Yes.
So they listen and they encourage me and they say, well, you persevere and you always have, and we know that we can get you through that. So they're good listeners and they do help me with that.
Yeah. Does perseverance ever feel like a pressure to you, though?
Maybe sometimes. Yeah. Especially when I don't see like progress being made and I don't feel like I'm doing any better. It is a little discouraging.
Right. Yeah. Of course. I think sometimes we have that tendency to do that, to see other people's standards for ourselves and to take those on. But it does sound like you have a good perspective on those, and that's important, I think.
Yeah. Just try to take it what happens day by day, and I'm doing what I can, and I'm reaching out to other resources to try and help Otsniel, and I just hope that it does make some progress.
No, that's fantastic. Well, I want to see if there's anything that I can do to help you find the resources there to help. To maybe, again, I think a great first step would be to meet with someone that could help work with the parents for the language barrier. I think that will be very helpful. Always want to encourage you. How's your relationship with the headmaster and the administration at the school?
It's good. I did my student teaching there, and they interviewed me, and we get along pretty well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually had to call the vice principal into class to like remove him from the classroom and like talk to him, and the authority that she had seemed to like, don't not like whip him into shape, but like it put him into good behavior for a little while. And so maybe that's something that I need to work on, is being authoritative and like not letting him like walk all over me, because he responded well to that, to the vice principal coming in. But
have you ever undergone any assertiveness training or looked into that?
no.
It can be an extremely helpful tool for all of us. I'm a particularly agreeable person myself, and in certain environments, like in a classroom, it's extremely useful just to learn how to stand up for yourself and learn to navigate those really kind of tricky situations. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Big Five personality traits.
A little bit. I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's one of the dimensions, is agreeableness and disagreeableness. And for those of us that certainly like agreeing with people, enjoy the relationships, I've found that assertiveness training can be extremely helpful, just to offer that.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, so I'd be very interested if that would be something that you'd be interested in doing or would like to learn more about. We could certainly talk about that.
Yeah, I think that could be helpful with him, for sure, because the grade before, so his first grade teacher, he was held back in first grade twice. His second first grade teacher was a male who was also Hispanic. And so he did well in that class. He was able to pass first grade and move on to second grade. So I think the assertiveness of the male teacher was helpful for him. So I would be interested in that.
Yeah, and I can see that you care about your student, that you're diligent. So I know that training you could do very well, and it's just as an enhancement to the skills that I already see that you have in place. It's difficult that first year, getting a handle on these things. Everything's so new. I mean, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about like your first experiences in the classroom.
Well, all of them have been really good, except for this. Like the other children, they have like normal behavioral problems, like they don't want to sit, or they like are hungry and they want a snack, or they want to go to the bathroom, or they want to like play in the drinking fountain and things like that. But that all is going really well.
No, that's so good. Yeah, well, I can see, again, you're going to flourish in this environment, you're going to do well, you're going to get those sort of kids that come along. And I'm glad to hear, again, the administration is there, they're supporting you, they're looking, and I think that's great. In the meantime, until you're feeling in the place where you have a little bit more of a handle on being assertive and dealing with children in that situation, having that support there with the administration is crucial.
Yeah, and I think it's a skill that I'll learn over time. Like I know that in my personality that isn't in there, but I think with practice it will come. It's just knowing that like it's not going to be perfect right away, and that the beginning for teachers is always hard. And just reminding myself of that definitely helps.
Yeah, no, sometimes we can be so critical of ourselves, and we don't even give ourselves a break to realize that we're going to be thrown in new situations that we wouldn't begin to know how to handle, all of us. And so you're doing what you need to do, for sure.
That is helpful.
Yes. What are we doing?
I need time then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have a few more minutes.
Okay, a few more minutes left in the session.
So tell me about what your goals are with teaching. What are you hoping to do with your teaching career? Do you want to continue on the path that you're going?
I think so. I think my main goal is to just see progress, because the demographic of the children in this school, it's hard, and a lot of them start out like in deficits, like they're below the reading level they need to be in math levels and things like that. So when I give testing, there's a program that shows me like where the kids are, and then each time like you can see the progress. And I think my main goal is to just see progress. Like even if they start out in a deficit, like I think just being able to see progress would be encouraging.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. So have you always felt called to children with maybe a little bit more difficult backgrounds?
No, not with difficult backgrounds. This is just how it happened.
It's just what you stumbled into?
Yeah, my student teaching was at this school, and the transition was just easiest. When they offered me a position, I just took it. I knew it was going to be difficult, especially with like language barriers and things like that. But you have to start somewhere, so I just agreed.
Well, again, I very much want to taking that on. That's a huge, you have such an incredible potential to make a huge influence in
Yeah.
children's lives that may not have that parental support.
Mhm.
And I know that's going to leave you obviously in a position where it makes your job more difficult.
Mhm.
And I think it's very admirable to take that on, to take on
Yeah.
the extra work of almost, not only do you have to be a teacher and do you have to prepare, but having the parental responsibilities just a little bit absent,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and they're not very responsive. Like, I send them the like program that we use sends them like text notifications like when the kids have homework, and it's just they aren't responsive at all. And when we had our open house, like 2 parents showed up,
Oh, wow.
so that is a little discouraging.
Yeah.
Is I know that these children at home like aren't getting the attention that they need if their parents
Mhm.
like aren't responsive to me, and
Mm.
I think that's something that's going on with the behavioral like child as well, is that his parents aren't paying attention to him. So if he can get me to respond to him by like screaming in class, then that's what he has to do for himself. So
Yeah.
that's a
Do you
little-
feel like your resources are sometimes stretched a little too thin when you have to do those multiple jobs and the kids are asking for so much?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like there's not enough time in the day to do everything that I want to do, and that I have to like pick which things I want to like neglect and like prioritize things. And I wish there was enough time for me to like concentrate on the parents rather than like doing lesson plannings or like trying to do this behavioral plan for him and like and things like that.
Yeah, it's like taking on multiple jobs.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is challenging.
Mhm.
Do you feel that have you ever expressed feelings when you feel that maybe you're being pulled in too many directions? Do you feel like you can talk to the administration about that you'll be
Yeah.
heard?
Yeah, my student teacher supervisor is also a teacher at the school.
Oh,
So I talk to her a lot, and I reach, like, she's taught for probably like 20 years, so she has a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom
oh,
that I
wow.
meet with her and I talk about things like that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Well,
Mhm.
you have the proper support system,
Yeah.
and I know that you have the
Definitely.
resources within yourself. I can clearly see that.
Mm.
Again, assertiveness training is something that we can just add to our toolbox, is always what we're doing in fields like education or
Mhm.
anything, so.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'll look into that.
So,
Mhm.
I think we got
I think we're done.
it. 17 minutes.
Hey.
Yeah.